Welcome to Determined to Succeed. I'm your host, Dawn Mallarney, also known as Unique Connector. So I'm excited today. It's a solo episode with just me. I wanted to take some time to kind of reflect on my journey, but also to get the listeners to learn more about me and to learn more about some of the chapters in my life and kind of what led me to where I am now, because some of you may know me well and some of you may not know me well. So kind of to reflect and to go back a little bit on my journey is back in the day, I was a very, very shy child growing up. I was so shy that my sister would talk for me or my parents would talk for me because I was so quiet. My sister talked a lot and I would get nervous. I kind of had some anxiety or social issues. We're not really sure. I mean, as I reflect back on it, but I used to have ulcers so bad. Let's just say this is third grade, we're even talking, where I had ulcers. So that is like a hole in your stomach. And so I was sick a lot, nervous, or just never wanted to go to school. And I was so nervous that sometimes, in order for me to complete school, I had to go sit in my principal's office in order to do school and to pass school. So that's where it's just kind of interesting as I reflect back that far and just my journey of growing up, learning the person that I was, but also learning how to connect with people and realizing that was my zone of genius. And, I reflect of even too, when did that kind of change all of a sudden? High school, we're all trying to learn a lot about ourselves, even middle school, and trying to be independent. And so I feel like there was a pivotal moment towards the end of my high school of realizing about friendships and how life was. You needed to show up for yourself, you had to stick up for yourself. And so when I moved to college, it was kind of interesting because you kind of got to start fresh. Nobody knew you. Nobody knew about your past. Nobody really knew what kind of person you were. So it was kind of like my time in life where I started fresh and new and was leaning into the person that I wanted to become. And so now, as I even fast forward, when I graduated college, I found a career in the construction world. Didn't really know. I mean, when I reflect and even thought in college, I wanted to be a microbiologist. I wanted to go and study the ocean or study whales and go study all the different things that really didn't happen in Wisconsin. And so I switched gears. I wanted to be closer to my family. I didn't want to leave, still navigating that whole, world of being shy and quiet and whatnot, but also realizing, maybe there are different avenues or different ways. So I went into the business route and I went to business school and graduated in the 4 years and got a career in construction. And I was really just hired to be an assistant, kind of doing invoicing, payroll, and it was the back end of things where this is '07. And so it was kind of an interesting time. But within those 4 years, I learned so much about the business. So it was a crane construction company. So the big tower cranes, the big cranes on the road, aerial rental units, semi-drivers, mechanics, all those things. And I loved it. I was the only female in the office for a couple of years. And I just leaned into it. I kept wanting to learn. And so I was in the service department. I was in the parts department. I was doing invoicing. I was doing logistics. I was handling so many different things where they would even send me to corporate to fill in for people when they'd go on vacation because I knew the ins and outs and knew all the details. And so fast forward 4 years into that, I didn't really see a career in it because I was a female kind of too in a male's world. Also too, I was good at what I did. And so they didn't really want me to lean into the sales or lean into going into something else because I was doing so many things in the office. So that was one pivotal moment in my life that I took a drastic change. And I took a change so big that I left that career to go into banking. And I took a teller job. When I told corporate that I was leaving the construction company, the head of the company came rushing down. Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you leaving? And it was a moment for me where I told him, I'm going to go be a teller. I want to go see what else there is out there for me. I want more. I want to learn and grow. And so I took that drastic leap and went into banking. Didn't know much about banking, wasn't really something in my wheelhouse, but I heard there was opportunity for growth and opportunity to keep evolving. And so within a couple of months, they realized, oh, she has some different skills. And so I became a loan assistant for a while and was doing teller role. And then all of a sudden I got another opportunity and I went into the executive wing. And so I was doing accounts payable, shareholder services, helping with the audit committee, working close hand with all the executives and the CFO and the VP and the president. And I got efficient where I was going down part-time. And so they said, hey, how about you check out wealth management? There's this opportunity. They're kind of, creating this role where it's not exactly like determined, but they're kind of trying to figure it out. You should meet with Dan. So I met with Dan. And it was marketing, even though we had a marketing department, it was a marketing focus, but then also trust administration. So trust and estates, the back end of things. Met with Dan and he's pretty much hired me on the spot. So I moved over to wealth management. So I went to wealth management and let's just say quickly on, I asked a lot of questions. I was very intrigued. I'm always curious. I want to keep learning and understanding all the moving parts of things. And so I started taking on the 401k accounts, the whole process. I then started asking questions about where are we getting our business? How are we getting it? And so I was really leaning into, okay, here's our referral partners. Hey, these are the kind of meetings we go to. Want to come with? Okay. So I would go to all the meetings. I would ask questions about clients. Come join the client meetings. So I got to know all of our referral partners, client meetings. I got to know the back end and all the details when it came to trusts and estates as well as investments. And through that process, I was, getting more tasks on me, getting more exposed to things. I was getting a higher title, pay, all these things. And I kept growing. And I was kind of that yes girl that would say yes, because I always thought if an opportunity came to you, you should say yes, because it can help you grow in your career, or it can get you to the next level, or you could learn something new. So that's kind of what I kept doing. And I learned a ton, loved it. In the meantime of this, I also was a mother. I had a baby. My husband and I, we got married through this transition too, got married, had a baby. And, I was juggling motherhood and working full time. And I was working so much that even too, when we would lose a staff member, I knew so much that I would fill in and do multiple roles. And so some days I would be in the office really early in the morning and going to all the events at night. So I was kind of that one that loved going to the events, loved networking, loved meeting new people. And mind you, I said earlier, super nervous, anxiety, very shy, switched to all of a sudden leaning into it and loving to network. I had a great boss, mentor, guide that kind of just really leaned into me and made me feel comfortable and made me shine the person that I was. And I realized too, I was hesitant sometimes to go to networking things or to take people out for lunch, because one thing is I realized is I thought I wasn't as smart as everybody. And so I would kind of degrade myself and think I wasn't good enough to go into these certain conversations because I wasn't as smart as them. And he reminded me of just to go back to the basics, be a kind person, be open-hearted, show empathy, care for others. And it doesn't matter how smart you are or what, knowledge you have compared to somebody else. And that has been something that I've always guided relationships in. We're all human. Who cares where you went to school or what certification you have behind your name? It's just lean into the person that you are and be kind. And so that really started my journey of connecting and building relationships, but also to realizing all the things, even outside of work, of how you needed to be showing up at places and how you kind of were I was building a brand for the bank, and I was building my own brand of kind of becoming this master connector and at all the events all the time. And like I said earlier, is I had a family at home. So I was missing a lot with my child and when he was growing up, and I missed pivotal moments in motherhood. But also too, I was really honing in on my career. I wanted to keep growing and seeing what opportunities there were. I'm very driven. And so the pandemic hit. I started working at home. I was juggling him and doing work and, just learning a lot about myself and learning about him more too, because we were getting to spend so much time together and my husband as well. And through that time, I we kind of pushed it off for a while to have another baby. So we tried. And of course, unfortunately, I had an ectopic pregnancy. And so that is where it gets kind of stuck in your fallopian tube. And so if it keeps growing, it could burst and you could die and you could bleed to death. And so that was kind of a crazy, scary time in life. I had to have chemo to dissolve the pregnancy. And let's just say I was kind of a workaholic, even too, I had Owen at home, but we were just busy all the time. And I kind of brushed it off and didn't want to think about it. So I just went back to work and did things normal as if nothing happened. And through that process, I wasn't even able to dissolve the pregnancy. It was actually growing instead of decreasing. So I ended up in the hospital for a bit. And even as I reflect, I mean, maybe I'll do a different episode on that. But one time I did an episode with somebody else about this part in my life. But I was working even while I was in the emergency room and they were doing tests on me. Anyways, as I reflect, wow, what was I thinking? Life is too short. You could possibly die and you're too busy worrying about work. Um, so let's just say that was a major pivotal moment for me in life. When I was in the hospital, they thought I had a stroke. My whole left side of my body went numb. Anyways, long story short is it was a major moment in life of, wow, I could be gone in a second, or something drastic could really happen here and I wouldn't even be able to work or be a mom. And so that was my wake up call. Fortunately, I hate that we have to go through certain wake up calls like that to make us slow down. So I took a little bit of a leave. And within those 2 weeks, of course, I did my normal self of not really thinking about what just happened, work. I think about work. I was trying to connect with some friends. It's during COVID, it was a weird time. And then all of a sudden it kind of hit me. And so then I took one extra week off to actually process what the heck just happened. I didn't fully process all of it, but let's just say, it's baby steps. So through that time, I just took that time to really realize what the heck am I doing? Why do I always want to achieve more and more? And what does success even look like? During this time, I was working with Nancy in a leadership course also, or maybe it was right after that, I guess. Yeah, it's right after that is when I met Nancy. Then I did a leadership course. She really helped me just take the time to kind of grieve and almost process what the heck just happened, but also realize my past and how I really lean into things or how I'm really curious and I want to know all the moving parts. And I was hitting 10 years at the bank and realized just all the things that I had done over the years and the network I built and, my own brand and all of these things, 40 under 40, you know, and, you know, I knew I needed more or I wanted change. And so a client of mine had always said, "Hey, you should join us." And it was just kind of the right timing in life where I'm like, I think I'm ready. I need to close this chapter in life and try and focus a little differently, not so much about work, but also about my family and learn something new. Let's use this brain in a different way. And so I closed that chapter. It was a really hard decision. I was involved in so many things, was a podcast host even in the past and hosting a ton of events and doing a ton of work, but I knew I needed to do it in my heart and my intuition was telling me to lean into it. So I left and went into IT staffing. And, when you switch gears like this, and now as you hear, I've been in construction, I've been in banking, and now staffing IT world. And even before that, I worked on campus in college for 4 years, so I've kind of been in different industries and I've realized how my strengths and my knowledge or my skills can be utilized in different ways. It didn't matter what industry I was in. You could hone in on it and help make a change or make a difference. And so I was kind of recognizing some of these things when I switched gears and was in IT staffing, and just realizing things that kept poking up and reminding me of things where of like life is short. Um, in the midst of this too, I didn't even mention I was leading a women's organization, which was also a drastic change for me of being a leader of something. And I thought, how can I learn from this? That's kind of how I always lean into things, is what can I learn? What can I gain from this? Of let's be curious. And so each role I kind of lean into that way. And IT staffing was great. I learned a lot, but it was also challenging. You win the business of a company, but then now you have to go find the person that they're trying to recruit and to have. And so that was a challenge for me, because it's dealing with humans. They drastically would, apply for a job. They want to do it. They go through the whole process. And at the last second, they decide, nope, I don't want this job anymore. Um, where I was kind of bringing in different sales and clients for us, and my role was really leaning towards full-time sales. But something in my heart was telling me I didn't want to do it. It was challenging in a different way, but also too, I knew I had more in me. And leading the dames is kind of a lot of entrepreneur women in it. And I kept seeing like, well, if they're doing that, I could do that too. Or, something in me was just like, what's the worst that can happen? But also, what's the greatest thing that could happen? So I really had a lot of conversations with Nancy, and she really kind of just helped me navigate my own brain, but also realize things that I was boosting my own confidence. I was hesitant to boost my own confidence. And so, anyways, I decided in November of 2022 to close the chapter, even IT staffing, and leap into the entrepreneurial world, and to really deep down take time and focus on my family more. So I closed that chapter. I kind of leaned into entrepreneurial world. It was also time of Thanksgiving, Christmas, all these, family things, which was great. But also it was a time for me to kind of recognize, what habits have I created? What pushes me so much? Like, I'm just glued to my desk. Why do I do these certain things? And so it was kind of this navigation time for me to understand what habits I created, what habits did I learn, what am I going to do about it? And now you want to be an entrepreneur. Well, what the heck are you going to do? And so through this process, it's been a lot of learning, a lot of time of trying new things, discovery mode, being curious about myself, realizing, oh, you're hiding right now. Why do you keep hiding? Or, what's a safe space for me? Or what do I feel comfortable about? What can I lean into? What do I really love doing? So many questions, as you can see, going on in my brain. And the one thing is, I just realized I kept saying yes to everything all through my career in all the different industries, that I never really had an opportunity to really sit back and think, what do I really love to do? I've been exposed to so many things, from sales, business development, marketing, events, operations, administration, like all these things where it's, in the front, you know, showcasing what you're selling and what you're doing and being out there, but all the way down to the back end of things and all the details and how things are operated and efficiencies. So I just really didn't know, what do I love to do? I'm still navigating that. I think, we're all always trying to learn and understand, what do we really love to do? What makes us happy? What fills our cup? What are we passionate about? And so, I've just been trying to lean into, what's my zone of genius? What's my intuition telling me? What is even my heart telling me? How can I show up with my best self, but really where it's coming from a place of heart instead of a place of yes, or a have to or shoulds. And so I've been trying new things since this time of entrepreneurship, and I've been helping businesses get results and being strategic and helping them think outside the box. That's one thing that really lights me up. I love getting in the nitty gritty of things and understanding why you do things a certain way and getting a different perspective. And then trying to understand too, like the moving parts of when it comes to employees and their thought process. Maybe it's their mindset, or maybe it's to even their own confidence or just things they've never been exposed to. So I've been kind of working closely with businesses. I've also been kind of working closely with executives or leaders of organizations. And one thing that I have really found is something that I don't really know how to explain to other people of what I do, but something about it is I hold space. I hold space where I make people feel comfortable, where they almost just lay out all their problems or just tell me everything that they're struggling with or kind of their dirty laundry in a way that some people may think it. And I hold that space and I ask questions. I love being curious, but also I want them to be comfortable. And so through this, I've just realized different things about myself, but also about other people and how sometimes we have very similar struggles. And it's sometimes always an internal struggle, sometimes, or it's maybe something outward that's really internalizing it and affecting us. I think of, some clients that I've had, I didn't really realize they're so scared to even go out and network. And this kind of keeps coming up often of going to these events make me sick, sick to my stomach. And I've kind of been able to build trust with some of these people where they come to my events because they feel comfortable. They know they're going to have a face that's familiar and someone there. And it's kind of been interesting for me just to kind of learn things about people, but also see how I can help. How can I support? How can I be a resource? Who do you need to get in front of? Or what resource is it that you need? And that's kind of what I learned in the banking world is working with our community and being that resource. I kind of think of it as like a concierge, they come to you with your problem and you help figure out who they need to get connected to, or here's all the different resources for you. So I've kind of just been really leaning into that, but also understanding what fills that up for me, like my cup, what makes me happy. And it's of course connecting people to other people. I think of it as my spider web. I'm creating the spider web, weaving the weaves a little bit, stronger, but also spreading it out further. And so I guess one thing that I've really realized about myself is I'm so driven. I'm ambitious. I like results. I love variety. I love holding space and leaning into what makes me happy, but also what makes other people feel happy. And I love hearing it from my clients of just the change and the accomplishments that they've made and the celebration moments. And that's where I keep wanting to lean into that. And I'm really not sure on all the details of what it is for my business, but I'm okay with that. I'm kind of in this curious mode and trying to see how can I best help people. And so I've been trying different things, but also realizing some things that have maybe been holding me back from really leaning into my best self. But trying different things almost kind of scare me a little bit. I finally hosted my own event. And, in the past, it was all about quantity of people over quality sometimes, and so for me hosting my first event, I had these high expectations of myself because in the past I would host huge events. So a ton of people would come. My first event, I had 18 people come. I only had one person that had to cancel at the last minute. Everybody showed. It was great conversation. Everybody kind of connected and had a new connection or two or multiple connections that they didn't have before they came to the event, a space where they hopefully felt more comfortable. And then even after that, we mastermind and I mastermind with 8 people. And it was just great conversation, but also too, I was able to lean in and really hone in on me, but also see the results that it was creating on people. And so this is where, I'm trying different things that get me out of my comfort zone. The podcast is an example. One, I used to do it. Yes. Used to be a podcast host. Yes, there was a certain process that we did it a certain way. Of course, through this entrepreneurship journey, I was doing some different courses, trying to get different interpretations from different people of how to do it, what's best. And deep down, what I realized is I just needed to lean into me and what worked best for me and my process. Yes, this isn't maybe the most perfect podcast out there, but I'm leaning in. I finally took the action. I hit record, and that is what I needed. I needed to hear other people and their inspiration. I needed to have that moment where I could shine the light on somebody else. And so change can be hard, but it's also, a time to learn, to be curious, to take risks, and to see what else is out there. But also, too, during this time, it's been really impactful for me to spend time with my family. Things that before I was so focused on work that I kind of ignored some things that in the present moment. I mean, I'm still working on it. Doesn't mean it's 100% perfect, but I've been really trying hard to lean into the time with my family. Time is so precious, and this is where I'm trying to incorporate that in to my work life, but also to like, I love to work. It's okay, Dawn. And I tell myself that. And, I love taking action and holding space and seeing what opportunities there are out there, but also love being a mom and love being a wife and love doing things with my family. And so I kind of wanted to do this just so some of the listeners can better understand me, but also to learn from this journey that I've been on. And also know too that it's okay if you don't know exactly what the journey is supposed to look like or what success really is. I think for me, success is what I've learned through this journey is really having that peace and joy in life. And not everything is perfect, or not everything is perfect sunshine and roses, but it always sometimes is like a learning opportunity. And success for me is really just leaning into happiness and being present and enjoying life. And I hope others can see that of just about myself, but also to get that different perspective for them. And for me too, like why determined to succeed? It's because I'm so determined to keep going no matter what. Yes, there's hiccups, there's speed bumps, but I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep evolving and learning and seeing what opportunities there are out there for me, but also for other people. And so I'm kind of changing things up a little bit with the podcast because I just love holding space for people, but also I just want to learn more and I want to shine the light on people. So I'm going to start hosting these events, or episodes are going to be releasing 2 times a week. So on a Tuesday and Thursday. Because honestly, I have a whole bucket of all episodes that I haven't released yet that I'm just so excited, and I want to get them out there in the world. And I want to shine bright on these people, and I want to shine bright on more people. And so it's going to be 2 times a week. It might not be perfect. It might not be exactly what everybody's looking for, but hopefully at least you can find some inspiration from some of the guests. But know I'm here. I always learning and always being curious. And so if there's suggestions or things that you have for me to help with this podcast or how it can keep evolving, or maybe there's a person that you think would be a great person to interview on the show, let me know. I've been meeting new people, been reconnecting with some great people, and just building stronger relationships with those that have been on the show or maybe haven't been on the show. So I'm all about connecting with people. So I have some events coming up. I hope to host some more virtual events because I just miss seeing others outside of my network. I've kind of pigeonholed myself with a lot of female events, but I want to open it to all professionals. I miss seeing males, honestly. And so this is where things are evolving, and know that it's okay to evolve too, and to never give up, but know that I'm here. And I hope you can find some inspiration from these podcasts. And I would be honored if you would share it with somebody if you found that they could be inspired, or they could find some tips or, little suggestions from some of the nuggets in the podcast. But I appreciate you listening. It's been growing really fast in the podcast world, and I'm just excited to see it keep evolving and keep growing. But I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. Go shine bright, everybody out there.